Follow up now to a story we told you about yesterday that leaves you wondering, well, whether justice was served. Border Patrol agent Jesus Chito Diaz is now serving a 2-year sentence, accused of roughing up a known drug smuggler, violating that smuggler's civil rights, according to federal prosecutors. Agent Diaz's fellow officers say nothing like this happened and that he was convicted on trumped-up false testimony. Andy Ramirez is founder and president of the Law Enforcement Officers Advocates Council, a group that has been working to get this agent freed. Andy, thank you so much for joining us via Skype. Exactly why do you believe this agent has been wrongly accused and sentenced? Because the prosecution in this case, which is that our federal government, says he roughed up this smuggler. It was a smuggler, but he roughed him up. You don't have the right to put hands on somebody who's handcuffed and who you're making arrested. And they said that he beat him several times as he was placing him under arrest, and that's why this agent went to jail.
Well, this is the same office. This was formerly Johnny Sutton and the Western District of Texas, who prosecuted a number of other Border Patrol agents, Ramos and Compian most notable, as well as Gary Brugman and Deputy Sheriff Gilmer Hernandez, for doing their job. What they have done is they have taken these Mexican illegal alien drug smugglers, they justify why they bring in the narcotics, and then they prosecute them. This is a message prosecution, but this goes back to the Clinton administration. This type of prosecution has gone on for years. So the reason they did this is to tell the agents, you're not going to do your job. And now you can't even handcuff them. And what's scary about this, Megan, is anybody can turn on the program Cops that's been on TV for years and literally per night see lifting of cuffs of perpetrators and suspects.
Well, what is the evidence that he actually inappropriately roughed up this? I mean, arrests can often be rough. They're not, always pretty and nice and peaceful. But there's a line, that they can cross and that they can't. What is the evidence that this agent roughed up this admitted drug smuggler, and I should tell the audience he was only 15 years old, the suspect,
at the time,
to the point that was inappropriate?
Well, these agents, and they contradict themselves in their testimony at the trials. What they claim is that he roughed this doper up, this narco-terrorist, as I call them, and by lifting his cuffs, the Mexican consulate claimed abuses the same day, but these agents, they didn't report it within an hour as they're supposed to. They went to Whataburger, they cooked their stories up, went to an off-duty supervisor's home, then they went back, yet the agent who stood next to him, Mark Ramos, testified he didn't see anything. So the question is, why didn't they state something before they went off duty? Why didn't they state something if they had a problem with this as they claimed it happened?
What motivation would these other agents have for turning, against their fellow agent?
Well, and that's a very good question. They're not from the same shift. 2 of them have subsequently been fired for failing to take a urine test. I mean, there's a lot of questions that can arise from this, and it's something that Congress needs to get to the bottom of, because it's clear. I mean, these guys, many of them admitted perjuring themselves. They changed their stories repeatedly, but yet nobody's been prosecuted for perjury except for Mr. Diaz, whose story has never changed, and that includes the doper, and that is another part of this pattern. So the question is, why are they coming out with this? I don't know. One has to wonder, were their hands in the cookie jar, Megan?
Now you've got a member of Congress, a Republican Duncan Hunter, writing to the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, and saying, you need to set the record straight and explain why a 2-year prison term is appropriate punishment for this agent. We understand that is he in solitary confinement? Is that true?
Yes, and he has been so for 8 months, and this is something we've seen with many of those other cases. If you're law enforcement, you have to basically be away from the general population because they become a target, and especially if you're a Border Patrol agent, you become a high-risk target. So in order for their safety, they have to spend 23 hours a day, 7 days a week, and for him, it's now 8 months because Diaz, as soon as he was convicted, was ordered into custody. 8 months in a 6-foot by 12-foot cell and no contact other than 20 minutes a week, and that's over 2 days, 20 minutes with his wife, no other contact except for within guards. So, I mean, he's cut off from the world completely.
And
when did
he start serving that sentence?
This was upon conviction, so it's now 8 months. We're talking February, late February.
So he's got over a year to go?
Well, they're saying because of this time served, he'll do another 6 months in a facility, and then he'll go for 6 months to a halfway house. But keep in mind, he has a daughter that was born in March who he's never even held. So, I mean, imagine how he's feeling going through this whole thing, knowing that all he did was lift cuffs, everybody else lied, admitted to perjuring themselves, including the drug smuggler, the narco-terrorist, and yet he's the one that's in prison. It is a shame, and yet our Department of Justice continues this pattern. I truly hope that the Congress gets to the bottom of this, because this was something that Senator Cornyn said years ago they needed to put a stop to this. This was during the Ramos-Compián Senate hearing by the Judiciary Committee in 2007. I hope the House and the Senate stops playing political games and starts taking a look at why dopers are getting free passes and immunity for bringing us this poison across the U.S.-Mexico border.
Andy Ramirez, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
And thank you for your time and help on this case.
All the best. We're taking your thoughts on it at Kelly@foxnews.com. Well, the New Jersey school